G'day folks, I'm Mitchell Dale. You're watching Rugby League Week's Friday Arvo Footy. Joined on the couch today by Martin Lenihan from Rugby League Week, Eric Groth from the Cronulla Sharks. Thanks for joining us, boys.
Thanks for having us. You're usually wearing a bit of a tighter shirt. What's happening?
I know, the people in the wardrobe department have come up with something a bit different today.
You look good.
Thanks. That was interesting. What's been happening?
Mate, I had lunch with Ben Teo and Thomas Burgess yesterday, and they told me a few little interesting things about the bunnies, so we can chat about that soon.
Well, let's chat about it now.
Okay. Well,
tonight, Eels, Rabbitohs. You would say South, I mean, they're sitting in fourth spot, but they haven't really hit their straps yet.
No, they haven't, mate. I think out of the four teams that were in the prelim finals last year, really only Manly to me have sort of got the same kind of form. South Roosters, not so good. Newcastle, not at all. So a lot of it, I think, for South will come down to their mental approach. They haven't won a game with a few byes and a loss. They haven't won a game for about a month. So we caught up with big Lottie Takiri this week, and let's hear what he had to say, boys.
I think we've probably let ourselves down in probably how we've approached the game mentally, but you know, I don't see that happening this week, and I've said that before, but you know, our probably season's on the line too in a sense, because there's a bit of a big logjam there between 4 and 10. We're all on the same amount of points, so we've got to step it up, and you know, what better time than Friday night? Yeah, he's a class act, and he has been for a while now. He's shown when they're on the field. I don't think they lose too many games, or they don't lose by as much as they did the other night. But yeah, Jared Hayne's a freak. He'll be their obviously go-to. But in saying that, they've got a lot of guys stepping up, a lot of young forwards there who've played really well this year. You know, they've Semi Radradra on the wing as well. So they're not just a one-man team, but he certainly helps.
Yeah, just South needing to work on their attitude, righto. What did Ben Teo and Tom Burgess tell you?
This is exactly what they were talking about. Ben Teo is actually suspended, but he was talking about how important it is for the next few weeks, the club, how important the next few weeks is for the club. He's saying that it's all mental. They're all ready to go. They're rocking and rolling, but it's all about winning these next few games to put them instead for a really good finals campaign. So they were just talking about the importance of being intense at this time of year, not falling off, because it's easy teams. It's been a long season by now, you know, and people are starting to fall off the back a little bit, but he's talking about really ramping it up and the intensity.
It's interesting that you say that and he says that, because you got the feeling last year the Rabbitohs did almost peak a bit too soon. They flew home.
Yeah, they did.
And then sort of the wheels just fell off towards the end. They never really got it back. So perhaps they've learnt things from last year. You've got to say, tonight against the Eels, they really have to get started. They've got probably a winnable few games in front of them. Could really start to get on a roll. Yeah,
Eels, Raiders, Knights for them in the next 3 games. So I think that's a stretch. Last year you would have just gone tick, tick, tick in those 3 games for them, but not so sure about it this year. So I think obviously Jared Hayne coming back for Parramatta's a big one. And yeah, we caught up with Lottie, had a bit to say about Jared's influence as well, and Joseph Paolo, we chatted to him too.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. Like, he's obviously going to be playing this week, and he adds so much, his leadership, his experience. But you know, we played without him against the Bulldogs, and they were a top 4 team, and we showed up and we did everything we could. So we know, like, even if Jared's not there, we can play. But it just wasn't good enough on the weekend, and we need to improve. Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, everyone has a say about something, and when we're winning without him, they don't say it. But when we're losing without him, they got something to say. So for us, like I said, it wasn't like good enough, and we'll be definitely looking to improve this week. And having him back will be even better.
Yeah, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that Jared Hayne is so important to the Eels, but they're just such a different side with him. I mean, you look at the way they performed against the Warriors last weekend, 48-0, they got dusted. I'm sure he's not worth 48 points, Jared Hayne, but they're just a different side with him. Yeah,
it's a confidence thing. It just breeds across the team like wildfire, mate. I know, you know, playing at Parry, if you ever missed a game and I was there and Hainesy wasn't there, you were thinking, oh, geez, you know, I wish we had that little muck runner ready to rock and roll. But yeah, mate, he's a massive influence. It just breeds across the team.
Yep. Quick tip, Leno?
Look, I do think South, they're my team to get on a bit of a roll in the run home, and I think even though it's at Parramatta, I reckon South can get them.
Who do you think, mate?
I'm taking South as well.
I'm going to go South.
All 3 of us again for tonight. What about the other game, boys? Your Sharks and the Cowboys. You'd have to say, looking at the form guide, neither side's going to win. The Cowboys are on 0-8 this year away from home, and the Sharks have lost their last 4 at Ramondis.
So what do you reckon, a draw?
I'm saying a draw.
Well, I'm thinking the Sharks, and not just because I'm involved with the club. I honestly think they've turned a corner in the last 3 weeks, although they had a bad second half against the Knights at Ramondis last week. But I can really, the attitude at training, everything's a little bit different, and there's a good vibe around the joint. I reckon they're going to dust the...
I mean, look, they gave a very good account of themselves. They let it slip in the second half, but they were very impressive in the first half. They do look like a different footy side than they were about a month ago.
They know what they can do now. They've done it against like one of the top teams in the Roosters, and that comeback was just awesome. And again, Brisbane as well. So they know they can do it. So they've turned a corner, definitely.
As for the Cowboys, I mean, it was around this time last year that they turned a corner. I think round 19 they had a bye, round 20 they had that tough loss to the Broncos, and then they just flew home. They won their last six. So, I mean, they've said all year they don't want to rely on having a run like that, but now they do have to rely on a run like that. You
can't be 0-8 away and hope to do anything in the comp, because last time I checked, the finals are away from Townsville.
That's right.
So, mate, I'm with Eric. I reckon the Sharks, even without Paul Gallen, obviously a huge loss, but they've played games without him this year with Origin duty and things like that. So, Wade Graham, he'll step up big time, having a great season. I think
fantastic last weekend. Again.
It's funny sometimes when the top players aren't playing it, and that's like Toddy Carney as well, not being there, and Gow. Sometimes they just go for it, because sometimes they're the go-to guys all the time. You give it to them, expect them to come up with something. When they're not there, they're just going, we've got to win this.
The Sharks have had some very good wins without Paul Gallen as well.
It actually works for them sometimes.
Okay, I know I said I'd take a draw. I'm going to go against the grain, actually. I'm going to take the Cowboys. I think they can snap their horror run away from home. I think they can come up with a win tonight. Okay, very emotional day on Sunday there at Newcastle. Of course, this is the Rise for Alex McKinnon round, but in particular, the Knights' home game there against the Titans. As I said, very emotional for the boys.
It was great to see him at Raymonda Stadium last week, mate. I got to shake his hand. It was pretty good to see him, using his hands, and he was all smiles, mate. And this week's a big week for him, definitely. Yeah,
it's such an inspirational bloke, and the other great thing to see is the way rugby league's rallied around him. I mean, great initiative by the NRL to donate $1, but individually the clubs are getting behind it as well. I know the SCG Trust are donating $1 for everyone who's at Allianz Stadium for the Roosters-Panthers game. Amy Parker doing the same for the Storm and Raiders, and a lot of other clubs have a lot of other promotions to raise money.
That's awesome.
I mean, all rivalries seem to be put aside.
Well, JT's going to wear the number 16 jersey, which Alex was wearing in his game when he got injured, and he's going to auction that off. It's just money going. I think the wristbands, all these things are happening. A lot of Sony entertainers singing before games, obviously donating their fees and things like that. So, the Telegraph giving money from their sales on Saturday, and at League Week we've decided to give a portion of the cost of our Alex McKinnon magazine this week to the fund as well. So look, big rap to everybody in the game. Very emotional. Wouldn't want to be the Titans. They've got no hope of beating the Knights.
No, you wouldn't think so.
On Sunday.
Cop that, Titans.
Not in that atmosphere, I don't think.
Interestingly, we spoke to Robbie Rocco after the Knights Sharks game, and he basically said their run from the past few weeks has been all focused on hitting the ground flying against the Titans. Like, they are just hell-bent on doing it for him, and as Wayne Bennett says, they'll feel like they don't want to let him down, and they won't. So yeah, as you say, I feel for the Titans.
Well, it certainly looked that way last Sunday, didn't it? The way they got home last Sunday in the second half.
I remember when it all first happened and the Sharkies were on the end of an emotional game up there at the stadium up there, mate. It was scary stuff. I wouldn't want to be the Titans this week, no way. No,
definitely not, but a sensational round, sensational initiative for the Rise for Alex round this weekend. Right, we're out of the Origin period. There's 8 weeks to go. This is generally where you see the gun sides will start making a bit of a charge. We've got a story in Rugby League Week talking about that and talking about the teams that really do come home best over the back end of the season. With that in mind, I want you to put your necks on the line. Give us the minor premiers, the grand finalists and the premiers.
Good luck, boys. I hope nobody watch this back and give us a hard time in a few weeks. Look, for me, I think we spoke about South earlier. We were talking about Eels, Raiders, Knights in the next 3. I reckon tick, tick, tick for those games for them. They play Manly in a blockbuster at the SCG the next game after that. Then they've got a couple of Broncos, Cowboys at ANZ. I'm giving them both of those. For me, South to get on a roll, win maybe 6 out of their last 8. Having said that, they won't be in my grand final. I think Manly are just looking fantastic. They won 8 of their last 10 last year and then went into the GF. I'm going to Manly Bulldogs grand final. Mate, I reckon that would just be the atmosphere around that game with Desi against the old club, Hasler versus Tuvey. That's my grand final, but keep an eye on South, I think, to get a bit of momentum.
And your minor premiers are?
Manly.
I'm going to go minor premiers Manly in the grand final. It's hard to pick who against. Bulldogs, it's a tough one to go past them. It's either them or South for me. I think South, if they win 6 out of the 8 coming games, I think they're going to be a real big threat, a lot of confidence. I've seen Trent Hodkinson down at the cafe yesterday. He was having a coffee and he said that they're in a real good headspace at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see what a Hasler fueled and fired up doggies outfit's going to be like for the final. So yeah, they've been going good lately, so it's hard to go past them too. I'm going to say Manly, Bunnies.
Yep. I'm going to throw a smoky in there. I agree with you boys on Manly, Canterbury and South. I do think Penrith are probably going to fall away a little bit. I mean, they've had such a good run and now all of a sudden their halves are just falling over. You wouldn't want to wear the number 6 jersey for them at the moment. It seems cursed. I do think that they may come back to the pack a little bit. One side I think that you've really got to keep an eye out for is the Warriors. They're going along brilliantly. They've come out of the Origin period flying. They've got no injuries. In fact, they've got Thomas Lulawai coming back. So I actually think they're going to have a red hot run towards it. I've got to say, I think Canterbury are going to be the minor premiers, and I think it's going to be a Canterbury Souths grand final.
Wow.
And I think Canterbury are going to win it.
Wow. More pushover tries from the Warriors.
Mate,
in the run home. How good was that, boys? That was a throwback to the old days.
They've got to be in their bonnet, mate. They're the best team.
And look, they've won 7 from 9 and they're playing with confidence, and that's the thing. They're such a dangerous side when they're playing with confidence, when they're enjoying themselves. I reckon they'll make a push to the top 4. There you go. Well, we'll find out in a few months if we're right or if we're just a bunch of gibbering idiots. We'll find out. Okay, my favourite part of the show, Eric's Encouragement Award.
It's a lovely intro, thank you very much. We'll give the Encouragement Award to these 2 idiots.
Idiots is a bit harsh.
Oh. Well,
unlucky idiots, really.
I think they're from Queensland, so just leave it at that. Well, apparently few injuries.
Mate, 2 injuries to those 2 poor boys, a fractured ankle, which will fit in this boot very nicely, and a dislocated shoulder. So I think it might be the last we see of the giant ball run really fast towards it, crash into each other.
Too dangerous. The bloke's head nearly come off.
They missed a great second half.
I know, he was in the back of the ambulance on the morphine drip and he missed probably the best finish of the year.
Be interesting to see if the Petty Panthers cover the operational costs.
Well, they had to sign a waiver.
They did, yeah. Maybe when you sign the waiver, you don't think that's going to happen to you. I reckon Penrith might help him out a little bit. I saw one of the boys said, look, he doesn't want to take the club off for a fortune or anything, but might be a bit of help there. I think very unlucky. Let's get rid of those. Let's get rid of those games at half time.
This is on its way to you, mate, for your big, fat, smelly, swollen foot.
There you go. Encouragement award from Eric. Right, boys, before we go, I've got a scoop from the Mole. You love this, don't you?
I love
his
the Mole.
Gossip.
The Mole.
Now, he tells me, of course, we've heard that the Bulldogs are chasing Kurtley Beale. He reckons the Male's getting a lot stronger, that they are now very, very close. No done deal yet, but interestingly that Kurtley Beale would leave rugby union in a World Cup year. If there was ever a reason to stay in rugby, it'd be for a World Cup.
Definitely.
You would think so. But look, sorry, Eric.
There you go, mate.
I'll just say very quickly, he has played at a World Cup already, Kurtley Beale. I guess that might have something to do with it. You wouldn't think the money in league would be that much different. I would have thought he'd be pretty well off in rugby union, but I tell you what, he'd be a sensation, boys, I reckon, in the NRL. Great athlete. He was a rugby superstar at St Joseph's College when he was about 14.
He has played in the league as well. I think he's got a bit of a junior league background.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's not like he's coming in cold.
It'd be interesting to see how he goes. Can you tell me who has come over from union and excelled in rugby league?
Well, apart from guys like Wendell and Lottie and Matt Rogers who came back.
But I'm talking they've been union players for most of their life, come to rugby league.
No, look, you'd have to go back a fair way. Not that I can think of off the top of my head. Leno?
No, Israel Folau, of course, went the other way, has been incredible in rugby, just a freak of a player. So, no, look, it's been a long time, I think, since we had a union player come across. Guys like Ray Price, of course, was amazing when he came to league. But no, tough transition to make.
Very tough team sport,
look,
rugby league.
If any current rugby union player could do it, you would think someone like Kurtley Beale.
Yeah, definitely, especially with the background in rugby league too.
Very much so. Interesting one to keep an eye on. Boys, thank you for joining me. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leno.
Enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, especially for the Rise for Alex.
Yeah, get out to the footy.
Encourage everyone to get out there for a game.
Dig deep.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week.